Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my channel. Tonight we are going to talk about all things grass, hay, and silage. Farm Sim has a bunch of different animals that we have to feed. A vast majority of them need grass products. Horses need hay, goats and sheep need grass or hay, cows need hay, silage, grass. You name it, all the different things that we make from grass. So we have a very base kit here, and in this, what you're seeing right now in front of you is pretty much everything you need to make silage fairly easily. That's the most probably intensive product, but we can also make hay with this and even just get regular old grass for our sheep. And so everything is right here in front of you in a small kit so that you can see what you need to get things done. First off, we want to talk about tractors. We've chosen one of the larger balers. Several of the round balers, well, larger round balers, I should say, have 120 horsepower requirement. And so you're going to need the smaller round balers. The smallest one that we have, there's I think two of them that have 100 horsepower. And these two balers, the Coon and the Crone, both of these are 100 horsepower requirement. And so you can get away with a 100 horsepower tractor, but that's going to be pretty like right on the edge. The rest of the equipment that we have here is much lower requirements. The mower is 60. These are both like 20 or 30. This guy is a 60. So everything's lower than that. A small tractor would be fine for all of these pieces of equipment except for the baler. So if you're going to bale stuff, then you need to have a little bit larger tractor. Otherwise, we're going to talk about the two different ways to collect. So Farm Sim gives us two types of collection methods. The one is going to be using these forage wagons. With the forage wagon, you can pick up loose materials like straw, hay, and grass. You then have to store it somewhere. So if you mow and pick up the grass, you can put it immediately into your animal's feeding pen, and they can eat it. So like a goat or sheep that likes to eat grass. Even the cows can take some grass into their pens. You can just mow and collect right away and dump it into that bin. If you want to make silage, you can take grass and you can put it into a ground silo, and I'll show you that process later in the video. And you can actually make silage that way, but it's a little bit more labor intensive, and that's where a baler becomes a little bit easier. But once again, it's expense. So this is pretty cheap. This gets to be in the $150,000 to $200,000 range to be able to make silage using bales. So it all depends on how much money you have and how quickly you need to get into it. During this video, I will show you also, obviously, making bales of different materials and wrapping the grass bales to make silage so that we can, make our food for our cows. In another video, we'll talk about that, but in this video, we're going to cover how to make the materials. So on the most basic level, if you have a 120 to 140 horsepower tractor, you can do what we've done here. You can hook a mower to the front and a grass collector to the back. And the nice thing about this is if you have goats or sheep, you can just mow and then collect at the same time. And let's go ahead and do that real quick so you guys can see it. But you need to have a tractor that has enough horsepower. And once again, 120 is the minimum. I would suggest getting a tractor that's like in the 130, 140 horsepower range. This particular tractor has 175 horsepower. So we can run this setup with ease. So here's where it gets really easy. You turn the mower on and lower it. You turn the collector on and lower it. And you mow. And as you mow, you'll notice that it comes out the back. And it goes right into the collection wagon. Now, if you make a sharp turn, it'll miss some of the material, but that's okay. But this is the most basic way to get grass for your sheep, for your goats, and also if you want to feed grass to your cows. However, to get the most production out of your cows, you probably want to give them TMR. If you're only doing your cows for meat, which are going to be like the Angus cows, and the what's the other breed, Micah? That's meat.
Start from L, I believe.
Limousin, yeah. And that's right. Thank you, Micah. The Limousin cows are also meat cows. They can produce milk too, but if you're just doing them to raise them and then turn around and sell them when they're full adults, grass and or hay is just fine. Hay is better, but that'll get them up to 80% health. You don't have to worry about producing milk because you're not making milk. You're just making cows to sell at market. So this is the base package here, and this gets the job done. We've got the grass that we need, and so that's that setup. Now, let's say we need hay. Like we talked about, the cows like the hay more than they like the grass. It's better for them. Same thing with horses. You're going to need hay for horses. Sheep and goats, although they're fine with grass, they can also eat hay. In real life, you would not store grass, even in a wagon like this. The reason being is that the grass has moisture in it, and as it dries out, there's a chance that it can spontaneously combust. And I know it sounds crazy that a big trailer full of grass might just randomly catch on fire, but what happens is, as it rots, the bacteria gets very hot as it breaks the grass down. Grass is sugary, and those sugars, they make for quite a process going on in there, and the grass will actually catch on fire. So, farmers do not actually in real life bale grass, nor do they leave it in collection wagons. If they do this, they will dump it out somewhere and then stretch it out to dry so that it does not catch on fire. They will not put it in a barn. They will not leave it in equipment. There's actually cases of balers catching on fire and stuff like that if they have wet grass in them. So you have to be real careful in real life. In the game, not so much. But in real life, you have to be very careful. Now, we're just going to dump this grass off here. But later on, I'll show you what to do. We'll recollect it, and I'll show you what to do with it with a silo. But that's the first easy setup. So now we're going to talk about the mower. This is going to be our next big part. We have two types of mowers in the game. I've got this mower, which this makes grass collection easier. This mower will make what's called a windrow, and I'm going to show you side by side what this mower does versus the other type of mower. There's a couple different ones. Mike, if you want to bring the Samish down here. You can see here as I'm mowing, this leaves a nice little trail behind my tractor. It's all to the middle of the tractor. That's very easy for a baler or a collection wagon to pick up. So if you're going to make silage, this is how you're going to do it. You're going to use this Kuhn mower. Any of the front-mounted mowers do this. The game offers other types of mowers, though, too. So if you're making hay, which is something else, obviously, that you're going to, like the second product that we're going to make, you want this to be spread out, because it's going to be spread out anyway, though I'll show you some tricks. But in real life, a spread mower, like what Micah has brought down for us, is going to be maybe a better option if you're just making hay. Let's go ahead and grab this. This is a nice Kloss tractor. And so you're going to see here what this cut leaves behind. Almost more of a messy mower. You can see here, this leaves a much wider trail behind it. There are several mowers in the game that do this. The first twin mowers from Kuhn do this. The disc bind mower from the drag behind mower that like has the long bar from Vermeer, that also does the rough cut like this. It does not collect. And so you have this type too. And what you're going to do once again with this is you're going to TED. And that's our next step. So here we have grass, and I've shown you how to collect the grass. We're going to bale some grass, and we're going to TED some grass. So we're going to go right to silage here because we've got our grass mowed. And so once again, you can feed these grass bales to your goats and sheep also, but in real life you would not make grass bales and store them. If you were putting them right into the pen right away, then no problem, but this would not be done in real life. But we're playing a game right now, so it's okay. So I'm going to bale one of these rows of grass. And this is the one you can see here with that mower, because I used the mower on the front that collects nicely. I'm hoping I have enough. I might have to do another row here. But we are going to make a grass bale. Micah, would you mind cutting me one more row? I think we're going to need one more. Now, you could technically, if you had a high enough horsepower tractor, you could mow and bale at the same time. You could put a mower on the front and bale at the same time. I don't think I've ever seen them do that in real life. But the option is there for you. Just like we collected with the wagon and made the grass bales, you could theoretically do that. Now, is that realistic? Probably not, but but you can do it. Thank you, Micah. Micah made a nice little patch there for us to finish off the bale.
Need more, let me know.
I'll be right back, folks. All right, so we are here finishing up the baler. You can see here we're full. So now we have a bale of grass. This is, once again, a situation that you'd only really be doing if you were going to make silage. And we will show you, when we get to the silage phase, how to do that. I'm going to drop the bale off here for now, and we'll come back and get this grass bale later. But you can see if you walk up to it, it's going to be darker in color than our standard hay bales, though they're real close. It's hard to tell. But we have this bale right here that's going to say, my farm, it's owned by me, it's made of grass, 3,500 liters of grass. So there's that. All right. So those are the two ways of collecting grass. Now let's turn our attention on the tedder. So the next product that you can make with the grass mowing is called hay. And we're going to take such advanced knowledge here. We're going to take this tedder, and in real life what this does, they'll mow the grass and let it sit for a day, and then a day or two later they come out with one of these, and they will whip the grass around, and what this does is it gets the wet parts of the grass facing up towards the sun, and it allows it to dry. And so obviously, now it's not, I think in real life, it's not necessarily grass that they're tedding. They do like alfalfa, there's all kinds of different, like Timothy hay. There's all kinds of different product that they grow that's not specifically, it's a type of grass, but it's not like regular lawn grass. It's a very specific type that they use for hay making. So in the game, it's called grass, and it's just a grass. It's a type of grass in general, but it's not what you have on your front lawn. So, though I guess it's probably a hybrid, right, Micah?
Yeah, I'm sure it's a mix. There's like a mix of different grasses that cows really love.
Yeah. And you can see here either type, either if it's spread around or if it's rowed. To be honest with you, I don't know why you would buy a mower that doesn't do windrowing, because, so buying that coon that we had on the front of this tractor, to me, is the best option. Because you can use it for both, collecting, but also for doing this, because you can ted anything, even if it's not spread out like this. But in real life, you'd want it to be spread out. You wouldn't want to collect it and then re-spread it out. You'd want it to just stay spread out. So I guess that's why they do that. They're trying to keep it realistic. So now, one trick that you can do, and I'll show you this real quick here, just like anything else, getting two things done at once is always a nice thing. You have to make sure you have enough horsepower. So we've got a mower on the front that takes, I want to say it's 60 horsepower. And then we've got the tedder on the back that takes 30 horsepower for a grand total of 90 horsepower. So you need 90 horsepower to run this rig. We've got 170, so we're fine. But, just be aware that this does require some horsepower to do. And you can see there the difference. The hay is going to be like grayish brown, and the grass is still very green looking, those windrows of grass that we have next to this. And you can see here we're making more. So this is once again, I don't see them doing this in real life. I've never seen a farmer doing tedding and mowing at the same time. And I think the reason is because the grass needs to dry a bit, and then they ted later because they want to flip it. So you mow, you leave it for a couple days, and then you ted. You don't ted as you mow. So it's fun to do this in game. Yeah, it helps save steps and time, but you would not do this in real life. Now, I have seen farmers mow and windrow at once, but with the newer mower systems, they windrow for you. So anyway, there's that setup. So we've made a bunch of hay. How do we collect it? Well, it's a big mess, right? Because we've spread it all over the field so it will dry out. So we need to get a device that will help us to put this into some nice neat rows. And so we will do that next, and then we will collect it. The next phase of our operation is called windrowing. This makes it easier to pick up the materials. You can do this with pretty much any material that's loose on the ground. So if you spill stuff all over by mistake, you can windrow it. Now, I don't know if that works for like crop, like if you spill corn or something, but it definitely works for grass, hay, straw. And basically what you're doing is you're taking it all and you're making it into a nice pile that your baler can pick up. Now, there are limitations. You don't want to do more than 2 of these together. If you start putting multiple rows, like if I took this and I kept windrowing it down to the edge of the field, it would get to a certain size and then we'd start losing product. So be careful not to over windrow stuff. 1 or 2 passes is enough, and then move on to make another pile. But you can see here we're going to have a nice stack, and then to make it even more fancy, we're going to go back down the other side. And once again, this is a simple one-wheel windrower. They make much larger windrowers that really don't require a ton of horsepower. You're able to do this all in one pass instead of having to go back and forth. And then the even wider ones that they make can make much larger, wider swaths. Like you could do this whole thing in one pass. So this whole area that we've mowed. So for the really big ones. So there's a lot of cool windrowing technology in the game, but I'm just showing you this base one so you can see what we're doing. So now you can see here we have our hay in a nice, tidy stack. And we can either use the collection wagon or the baler to do that. In this case, we're going to make bales. All right, so I am now collecting the hay using my baler. And we're making our first hay bale. It has been made. We now need to dump it off. Let's take a look. We got 3 grass bales over here that we're going to turn into silage for the cows. Once again, there's our hay bale, which looks suspiciously like grass. It does look pretty close to grass. I mean, these are really hard to tell apart. This is grass, right? Come on, give me the info. Wow, this is really buggy. Oh, a bale. Okay, bale owned by my farm, grass. What is this one? My farm, hay. Okay, I was saying, I'm going crazy here. Like, I thought I was making... Thanks, Farm Sim. That... And this is why I wait for several patches before I start making tutorials, because this is the kind of stuff that makes me look bad, and it's not my fault. I swear. Okay, so we are going to continue baling. Once again, hay bales can go directly to horses, to cows, sheep, and goats. If you're raising Limousin and or Angus cows for beef and not worrying about milk production, hay is plenty. And in fact, hay will get you to 80%. So even with milk production, as long as you don't mind that they produce a little bit slower, using hay to feed your cows, even your milk cows, it's not necessarily a bad idea. And it's easy to make. And so we have a couple hay bales here and a couple grass bales. Now, hay cannot be wrapped. Once it's hay, it's done. That's all the game does is hay. There's no wrapping haylage or whatever. And in real life, they do sometimes wrap hay to preserve it. But in the game, hay is hay, and that's it. So there you have it. So we've done grass over here. We've done hay. We need one more material to make, and that is silage. Now, if we're using a baler, silage is very uncomplicated. More expensive to get the equipment, but less complicated to do. Once we've made our grass bales, you're going to turn those bales into silage bales by collecting them with this handy dandy device, which is a bale wrapper. Now you'll notice this is grass, so it picks it right up. And here we have a bale of silage. Now, it takes 2 in-game days for this to become, or about a day and a half, for it to actually become silage. It has to ferment. So right now, it's just wrapped grass. But 2 days from now, it'll become silage, and then you can feed it to your animals. Specifically, your cows. If you want to feed your cows just silage, you can do that. It's the same benefit as feeding them hay. You get 80% health from just silage. But you can see here, these hay bales, it says this bale is not supported. You cannot wrap hay. You can only wrap grass bales. So, once again, if you're making silage, you make the grass bale, and then you wrap it. If you want to make hay, you mow, ted, and then collect. So hopefully that was easy for you to follow. We have one more scenario, and that is if we're using the collection wagon rather than a baler and we want to make silage, I'm going to show you how to do that. So Micah, would you be kind enough to mow and collect a full trailer full of grass? I would appreciate it. All right, as you can see here, Micah did some hard work here, and he got our trailer absolutely full to the brim with grass. You're going to need to plunk down one of these silos if you don't have a farm that already has one. And it has to go on your property, by the way, so I had to buy this field. Probably not optimal, but we're making a tutorial here, folks. So then you're going to dump the grass by using the left bumper, right bumper, and pressing, I believe, X, or Y, I mean. And that's going to push all the material out into this hopper. And you're going to do this over and over again because this silo can hold an awful lot of material. And you're going to want to do this a lot until you get this all nice and full. But we're going to just use this one trailer full to show you the principle of what we're doing. But you would want to fill this up much more. You take the whole field of grass and put it in here. You can also put corn in here if you chaff it. That's a whole other adventure. I will get to that eventually. We'll make a tutorial about silage and chaff. Now, if you open up your menu in the upper right-hand corner, and you can see here, it says we have 16,000 liters of chaff. It's grass, but it's chaff. And we're compacting it. And in order to compact it properly, you have to drive back and forth until it reaches 100% compacted. You can see the numbers are going up quickly. The more material you have, the longer it takes. The bigger and heavier the tractor is that smushes this down, the faster it goes. And they do have compaction weights and compaction tools that you can add onto the front and back of the tractor to make this go a little bit faster. It's pretty fast right now because we don't have a lot of material, but if you did have this full, it could take you a good hour to compact it. So sometimes having those little silo compaction tools help quite a bit. And we've reached 100% compaction. The silage is now in here, and we're going to hop out. And now we have an option, when we step near it, to cover the silo or blanket the silo. You can see it up in the upper left-hand corner there. I do that by pressing my left button, my left joystick. Do you really want to blanket this silo? Once you've done this, you're done until it's done fermenting. So for the next 2 months, this is going to have a cover on it, okay? Once the 2 months is up and you come up here and you walk on it, you can see here it says fermenting 0%. Once that reaches 100%, you can press, I believe, again, it's the left joystick, and you'll start unpacking this. And you can use this as silage to feed your animals, but that's how you make it using a silo. The other method, of course, is to use the baler like we did down there and wrap it. So once again, in quick succession, if you want to make hay, you mow, you ted, you windrow, and then you collect, either with the collection wagon, which will have to be stored, or with the bales, which you can store in a building anywhere on your farm. If you watch any of our series, you see me storing bales all over the place. If you're going to make silage, you mow and then you bale. If you have a big mower that doesn't windrow, you'll have to also windrow in there, but you basically just mow it, you bale the grass, and then the last step of that is to come over here and use the wrapper to make silage, or you can do the other way that we did where you mow, you collect, you take it to a silo, and you compact it and cover it. So those are the two ways to make the silage, but I thought I'd just go over that real quick with you again. So once again, hay is mow, ted, windrow, collect. Silage, mow, collect, either wrap or cover. There you go, folks. Hopefully this video is helpful to you as you go on your farming adventures. We will do a tutorial on how to take care of your cows, because that one is a little bit more complex as we make TMR. We'll teach you how to do that. And we'll also go over a forage video, because we have some harvesters that are specifically designed to make chaff for your bunkers where you make silage. So there's other ways to make silage, but we just covered the way to do it with grass in this tutorial. Hopefully you found this, guys, helpful. Micah, do you want to say goodnight?
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Be sure to check out other videos on my channel. We cover all kinds of stuff, and we also do a lot of gameplay. So I've got, right now with the new version of 25, I've got one series running on each map. I release a new episode either every day or every other day for one of those farms. So each week you'll get about 2 episodes per farm, and we have a great series going on there. Be sure to subscribe. Thumbs up always help, and we will see you next time. Have a great night. Bye.